How's everybody doing this morning? Had some good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day this finds you. Thanks for joining. I'm Sean, and I love tabletop RPGs. In unison. Hi, Sean. Dude, thanks, Blake, for being my backup. Got off to a bumpy start. I'm launching my stuff. Something keeps making my OS crash, which is always fun. And then I'm like, okay. Oh, overlay doesn't work. Okay, gotta reinstall the extension. Okay. Oh, awesome. Stream Deck doesn't work. That's awesome. Great, fantastic. Oh, and I don't have any audio. Oh, that's fantastic too. But all in time, all good. Because when you troubleshoot on Gaming and BS, you tend to learn and do it quicker and quicker. Good. Good to see everybody. I think. Oh yeah, let's see. So Ryan West being the morning person, first to show up, first to arrive, last to leave. Roger, good to see ya. Ben, good morning. Takoi, good to see ya. Shambot, Jason, wow, look at Jason. Hey, Tad, morning. Blake, Harrigan, good to see ya. Hope you're back in the States and doing well. Hope your trip to London was fun and exciting. Matt, good to see ya. Never trust an Apple product. Oh, boy. Gabe signs in. Morning, Gabe. Gabe dibbing, not diving or dying, as some people might think. Flint, Dragonlance Royalty, glad to have you grace us with your presence. Good start to the day. Joe, morning. Thumbs up and like the video, yeah. Thumbs up. I think the peak of the video is like 10 or 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But anyways, why is that coming up? I don't want to know, people. All right. So stick around. We're going to talk about some West Marches. Goodness. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Or as my friend, Mr. Hobbs would say, is it going to get off the ground this year? Or some snide remark that he had. Warranted. I'll take it. No problem. I can handle it. You can't be in the RPG space and not have a thick skin, right? That's what makes us tougher. Playing people with thicker skins. Excited for the West Marches, Jason is. All right. Sweet. Hey, Laramie, good to see ya. Good to see ya. Morning. Or in Laramie's workday, evening. Forbidden West Marches Lands. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go with Year Zero Engine and Forbidden Lands, honestly. But you got to wait to stick around. We'll see. Morning, Todd. Morning from Canada. Good to see ya. Thanks to everybody for joining. Really appreciate it. To have you all here is an honor, and I mean that sincerely. Thank you. All right, let's get going, should we? Let's see what question du jour. Again, the last thing I think of, and it's the first thing I start with. Let's see. Oh, as I think about it, or as you may think about it, because I'm open to suggestions, by the way. I finally did get my Kickstarter arrival. Some of you that tune in to me on some of the social medias, June 2024, delivery date, Evil Hat, Deathmatch Island, June 2024. I don't know if you guys know what the date is. Yesterday is when I received this, as well as the digital. Some of you got your hard copies even a day before I did. So as this is being recorded, it's April 6th. So I received this on April 5th. Some people receive their hard copy April 4th. So I just want to give Evil Hat a round of applause. I would say that would be an extremely successful Kickstarter, because there's successful Kickstarters that aren't on time, but some people still think they're successful, I guess. This would be, I guess, to set these guys aside, extremely successful. So it can be done. And it can be done multiple times, because I think their track record is, I've said it before, top notch. So the unfortunate thing is, like, it's like, wow, I really like this game with this publisher, with this rule set and this setting, and then these crowdfunding campaigns and how they handle them and how they deliver. I wish they were all one company. Because I'm not a big Fate guy, and I know Evil Hat's like, and Blades, of course, right? I don't want to take away from Blades, but dude, you cannot beat Evil Hat on a crowdfunding campaign. You just telling you. Everybody else, I will even say Free League. Like, Free League has been okay, has been good, but I think if we stacked them all up against each other, Evil Hat's probably at the top of the list for probably what I would say mid-level publishers, right? Mid to large level publishers. Not that Evil Hat is like 100 people; they're still pretty small, but they are kind of a known company that's been around for a little while. So I would say there's kind of buckets of classifications for publishers, right? There's single people that are doing it and grinding away and getting stuff out there, and they certainly do good work, and it's not to take away from them and their crowdfunding campaigns. But some of the folks that are doing, $100,000, $500,000, $1 million Kickstarters or crowdfunding campaigns, let's not do the Kleenex thing. Like, dude. The standard, no question. The standard is Evil Hat crowdfunding, period. At least as of this recording. I can't say anything from here moving forward. I'll tell you, though. Good to see you, Jesse. Good morning. Yeah, man. Ryan, we've got the last 10 minutes of the show to come up with question for the week, for sure. Good morning, Orcus Dorcas. Kudos to Evil Hat from Ryan. Blake, Ryan West. Orcus Dorcas, I see, is admitting he has a time machine because no way a Kickstarter arrived early. Orcus Dorcas knows what I'm talking about. Good speed on the Kickstarter, unheard of. Question of the day, Blake says, how would you incorporate Sean into your game? Oh, God. I don't know about that one, Blake. Jesse's still waiting on my mothership. I did get my shipping notification, or the last minute, hey, checking your address yet again. Dude. Oh, those poor guys. Dad says I was able to put in a late pledge last week for the core book, and it's on its way. Yeah. I did that for Outgunned. I did that, and I think it's on its way. And I was, I think, pretty late. So, Sean in my game underestimated Sage. Oof. I don't know if I want to do that one. Jason Weitzel says, you can't spell excellence without the E in Evil Hat. Yeah, that is true. True statement. Aspect Pro RPG Shop. Right. Or if there's a sweet spot of product / money for crowdfunding. I would imagine. Also, Jason says also the right amount of customary communication from Evil Hat. Yes, there is so many good things to say about Evil Hat's crowdfunding. I don't know if I've crowdfunded any other of their other campaigns. I don't think I had. I think maybe Fate, but that was so long ago. That might have been the one when I got in on Fate Core, and then they gave you like Fate Accelerated and kind of threw that in there. Man, yeah, there's so many things. When you talk about communication, man, that's one thing. Free League, I love you, right? Everybody knows I love them. I love their products. I love their games. I don't need 4 freaking emails a day in the first week because somebody, you went over $1,000 in $10,000 increments, or like unlocking stretch goals. Like, yeah, if I've pledged, I'm in. Like, I got it. All right. Yay. Like, man, it's pacing, folks, is, I would say. Todd, professional independent publishers, as Todd is one of them. So they do have their shit together, and for at least a decade, at least, he says. Yeah. And Todd is no stranger to crowdfunding campaigns either. I have kicked in for some of Todd's stuff. Good stuff. When's the last campaign that you did, Todd? Not to put you on the spot, but, and I say that in a like, when are we going to get another one? Yeah, Shambot says that's how you stand out from the Kickstarter crowd. Way to go. Morning, Jim. Good to see you. Question of the day: which monster would you most like to eat, and what is your recipe? Oh, hey, some people are vegetarians. I don't know if they would eat monsters. So, monster or monster substitute? Sean, you and Brett are half responsible for me working for Frog Guide, you two, and Jolly Blackburn. Yeah, I haven't seen Jolly in a while. I thought he came to Gamehole Con and he used to. Is he still? Was he down at Gary Con? I have to imagine he was. I don't know. I have never met him face to face or anything. We were honored to be in a night of the dinner table. I don't know if we were at a credit. I think like it wasn't in the main strip, but somehow we ended up there. So for those of you, that's Kenzer Company, right? Jolly's company, right? Makers of Hackmaster. So Jolly Blackburn. He does Knights of the Dinner Table, if you're not familiar, which has a humble bundle or a bundle of holding out there. So if you're a Knights of the Dinner Table fan around a group of gamers. Todd Crabber says, oh, no. I am a professional amateur independent publisher. There's a distinct difference. Touché. Question suggestion. Favorite licensed TTRPG video game? That's a good one. We haven't crossed the streams of the digital and analog. I don't know. That might be a hard one for people to answer. I have not played a video game. God, I think I played Red Alert Remastered, and then that was out a few years ago. I picked it up, played it like 3 or 4 times. That was it. And now I can't even play it on my computer because they changed it. It's only for Windows. Hey, they are all plant-based monsters. Laramie says, yeah. Hey, there are plant monsters. Oh, that's true. Touché, Jason. Touché. Shambling mound, right? Like, I would eat a shambling mound. Good morning, Mr. White. Good to see you. Ninja'd. Todd, my last one was Pandora Total Destruction about 2 years ago. I'm back into a couple of projects at the moment, so we'll see what rises to the top first. Didn't you do 5e, like the world's greatest RPG, though? That was after Pandora, wasn't it? Like, I'm telling the guy who's doing his own crowdfunding he's wrong. Shambling salad. Woot woot. I'm a vegetarian and a shambling mound does not seem appetizing. Well, okay. Hold on. Speaking of Hobbs. Jeez, this guy. Yeah, he was a Gary kind of got him on Knights of the Dinner table sign, cut the slab open, and got him to write on it. Nice. Kenzer Co. What about my Conad? My Conad? Yeah, I suppose. Wayne, good to see you. He made it. I think he was going to be out, so he must have just tuned in. What are you going to California or something like that, Wayne? Like, what? That guy. Hey, I won't be there. Like, thanks, buddy. Let me know. And then he did. That guy, die hard. Die hard experience points for you, which is double the amount of normal experience. Gelatinous cubes are the tofu of D&D, and you know they're full of protein because it consumed other creatures with protein. Yeah, but wouldn't it be like Jell-O? Because gelatin? Todd. Favorite TTRPG video game adaptation, Bureau 13. Jesse says, I think Shadowrun has a video game on Xbox. Haven't played it. That would be me. I don't know. I think there's that game that sounds cool that I've never played. That would be the one. Like The Last of Us or something. There was a Bureau 13 video game? Look at that. Now Hobbs is in here. He's texted me and he's in the chat. Your answer to your question is maybe. Maybe, Hobbs. Helldivers? That's something I can't play. Sean, you got the wrong game. I should start launching the Mac and gaming spoofs. Like, there was one back in the early 2000s or late 90s that talked about Mac gaming, and you could play Breakout, like Super Breakout. I wonder if that thing's still around. Morning, William. Good to see ya. Shambot, gelatinous cube ice, gelatinous cube creme brulee. Oh, indeed. The world's greatest role-playing game, the Zine, was about 3 years ago. Okay, see. Okay. Okay. You sure about that? I was just looking at the Call of Cthulhu Shadow of the Comet from 1993. Cockatrice. Whoops. I mean, you could probably put protein powder in Jell-O. Sure. Wayne, visiting relatives. Jet lag paying off. Nice. We'll say, hey, tell them we say hi. Everybody says hi. On behalf of everybody in the chat, we say hello to Wayne's relatives. Because that's how we roll. If you turn up the volume high enough, we'll all yell. Hello. Hello. So did we agree on a question of the day? I don't know if we have, necessarily. Favorite weapon? Did we do favorite weapon? I thought we did favorite weapon. We probably did favorite weapon. Do we say favorite magic item? What about favorite potion? Should we do the D&D one? Fantasy? Favorite potion? Favorite potion. We did favorite magic item, I think, at one point. Do we do favorite potion? Potions are kind of limited because they're all probably after a spell, right? So then you're like, well, why don't you just say, what's your favorite spell? I don't know. Could it be the day that we don't have one? Laramie, I haven't played video games in like 20 years, so I'm no good, if that's the question of the day. Me too. I'm worthless on that one. God, you're killing me. Oh, man. Oh, Sean, now you're just embarrassing yourself. Gelatinous cubes are just Jell-O. only when you're setting them up as a miniature. Because they start as water and sugar, right? What the hell is the question? How best to confuse Jason, Mr. Hobbs. I like that one, Jason. Oh, man. I'm like way behind. I'm trying to catch up in the chat live here. Everyone is making it up as we go. That's not a question. It's a state of mind. Hi, Wayne's relatives. More successful TTRPGs adopted video games or video games adapted to TTRPGs. 2, 4, 5, Trioxin. Wasteland had an unofficial TTRPG adaptation. Robots and Rangers. A day without a question? I know. The day Jason shows up is the day I don't have a question. Coincidence? Favorite convention moment? Should we do favorite convention game to run or play? Favorite convention game. Why don't we'll do that because convention moment could be, that's a lot, right? How about favorite convention game? So everybody would have to probably have gone to a convention, so it singles some people out. If you were to go to a convention, what game would you want to play? That would be the other option if you've never been to a convention. So favorite convention game. And if you are convention goer, multiple conventions, or even just one time, and you play and run, and you want to say, well, favorite convention game I like to run, and favorite convention I like to play. Now, how you interpret that could be different. You could say the type of game you like to run, or the actual title, or system, right? Like, favorite game you like to run or play could be the actual, like, concepts that make up that game. So I got a lot of angles here. I would prefer a title myself because then we kind of define that box and why it looks what it looks like. But how about your favorite convention game you like to play or run or both? If you're an overachiever, bonus XP for both. Because why not, right? The inmates are running the asylum with the question of the day. Of course they are. I would expect no less. Inmates. Oh, not the multi-class question. Favorite movie, TV series? Thought we did that one too. I don't know. I should probably keep track because as we go on, these are probably going to be a little bit like, really? You came up with that one? Make us guess your OSR West Marches system? Oh, that would be... Oh. Ooh. Oof. Oof. That would be a good one. I'm leaning 75, 80%. Like, it's not like, yes. And I'll tell you why. Because if I put it out there and people are like, okay, I guess. And then people may not tell me and they just maybe, hey, that's cool, Sean. And then crickets, they may not want to play. That is dude, I'm combing, doing the research. Sean's getting a little analysis paralysis, but I assure you it's going to happen. Unlike the last, 5 years I've talked about it, but it's happening for sure. You have my word. But you've said that before, Sean. Your word sucks. Okay, well. Anyways, the videos about the West Marches that I'm kind of seeing, I'm like, yes. Oh, another video about, hey, it's player driven and you put them in a town and don't put them in there. And they reiterate some of what, and Mr. Colville had put out in his video, which is great. But, and as far as an audience goes, I'll probably do a video on West Marches. I still have Ben Robbins' interview. I talked to Hobbs about it a little bit. and want to put it out there as kind of like West Marches, here's what it's about. But the videos that I think that are lacking out there are the really nitty gritty down in the trenches. Like I could probably do a video just based on the questions from other videos, because I think they're very much this is the concept of the West Marches. And now we're getting into West Marches. You bastards, I was going to wait until the end, but keep you guys hanging on. But the point I'm trying to make is, given the guessing the system from Harrigan's suggestion, is like, what resources do you use? Do you do everything randomly? What do you use for random things? How do you name things? What's the premise? Like really understanding, and part of it is system. To me, now everybody else's West Marches games are like, well, I only play D&D, so yeah, it's D&D and it's 5th edition, and that's what, like, they don't even go into why they picked a particular system. And I think it's just because that's what they're playing. For me, it's got to make kind of sense. And it also has to be something that everybody's kind of willing to play and kind of have an understanding. I'm struggling with the accessibility piece. That is probably the biggest one. That would be the one that sidelines like my choice for whatever reason. Because if I choose and I have, I don't know, optimistically over 10 people that want to play, they're going to either have to have the book and they want to play that system, which is great, or they want to play the system and then they got to go and buy the book. Where if I played, like, if it was OSE, they have an SRD. Like, everything is out there. So it's like, you don't have to buy a book, just go here. And then I outline kind of the guides to character generation, or the outline of the criteria around that. I'm going to stop with the West Marches thing because I want to get through all the regular stuff and then get into that at the end. Keep you guys around, maybe. We'll see. Some of you can't stick around for the second hour anyway. 2 hours? What? This guy's crazy. If we go with a favorite con game, I think I'm throwing my hat in the ring with my DCC Rapanathuk. It's the Klingon dungeon that Laramie runs. Rapanathuk. Achmo. Cha. Harrigan says, I bet I know it. I don't know, man. You might be surprised. I am interested to hear you guess. I am. We'll do that when we get there. Hobbs says, one of my favorite moments, singing Nerds RPG Variety Cast theme song with the creator TJ Drennan. Blake says, online convention, Trophy Dark. My werecat became a werebear. Bounced between werecat and werebear. It's a lot of were. Roger French, Fiasco. Dude, that's such a good game. I need to really get back to Fiasco. Last time I played, I think it was like 2011 or something. It's so fun. So fun. There was Tim Verning here in Madison who goes to the Gamehole Con? Used to run it at every Gamehole Con. No, yes. I think it was Tim. He's a board game guy, though. Was it Tim? There was somebody else. They used to run Fiasco like every Gamehole Con. Joe Swift play Carl Kiesler's Goonies meets the Ghostbuster or his Kung Fury 2. Yeah, for sure. Great. Dude, he's so good. It's so fun. I would say he's probably ranked quite high. I have to make sure who's in the chat. Like, how many people have I played games with in here? Did I play in their game that they ran and that was... What? You didn't think my game was that great? Oh, man. At the end of the day, drinking game. Cog Wars at a miniature war game. Everyone is John at an online convention. Everyone is John. Yeah. I think anyone who is at Gamehole Con knows my answer. Oh, but there's people in the chat that weren't there, Jim. Jim's being all coy. Absolute favorite convention game was Running the Deal at Breakout in Toronto. Absolute best LARPing experience. It was so intense, and yet the safety tools kept it all together. So good. Yeah. I ran that at Gamehole Con one year, and Josh Some of you know him, Tall Josh from like Ohio. He's like super tall dude. He kind of makes his way through, and we've introduced him to other people. He's the guy who we Ubered, the only guy who's ever taken advantage of the Sean Uber at Gamehole Con. I think he's like very much into like a theater group where he's from, and he was the guy with the gun, Todd. Two, 4, 5 tracks and any DCC funnel. Boom. So we know where Trioxin is. I'm with Jim on this one. I think Gabe's was so because Gabe's kind of playing coy along with Jim, but he's referring to Gamehole Con. I think Gabe's favorite con game was Conan 2D20 at BSR Con 3 this past January. As a matter of fact, I know it is because I was in that game. So you're welcome, Gabe. Sean's gonna run 4th edition. Hey-o. The one D&D, I have never ran OD&D. I've never run, I think I ran 2nd once, but I've never run 4th. I've never played 4th. Played or run 4th. Yikes. Hey, I guess you got to take my game card, right? Gamer card. Jason notes, I will play regardless of system. Well, that's me and Jason. There we go. All right. Hobbs was, what's your answer, Jim? I was there and I don't know. Todd says at one point, another player and I, in character, started yelling at each other so intensely that someone from another room came in and checked in on us. But it was all good. Thumbs up all around. Yeah, that's an intense LARP, man. It is. All right, Matt says, to play, honestly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer from Eden Studios, ran by an old friend about a different group of Scooby Gang with a different Slayer. Very well. Ryan West says, Sean's going to use 5e. You guys, 5e, we're crossing the streams all over here. Sean's going to use 5e because it's easy. For games played, I have played. Oh, here he goes. Ryan, he's getting there. For games played, I've played in a Boot Hill, no holds barred gunfight, and that was a blast. I want to play a DCC game at a con and would also dig running DCC. Good choices. Ryan West, MCC. Jim played a lot of Swords and Wizardry, just for the folks in the know or not in the know. Jim, I think anyone who was at GHC knows my answer. DCC. Robbins would likely say 3X D&D. Well, he did. I asked him, like, what did you use? And he's like, I used 3.0. Like, I don't think I don't know if I asked him if he ran it today, what system he would use. But when I talked to him, there was a reason why he used that system. So Sean should do West Marches with MCC. Good call, Ryan West. Great. OSC has an SRD. Didn't I just say that? See, I'm behind, so you guys probably like mentioned that, and then I talked. GURPS quick start. Oh, come on. Sean, if you're looking for another accessibility thing, CNC is a free PHP and PDF too. It does. You're right. Thank you, Laramie. Yeah, Sean, my Klingon dungeon, I'm adding Shrinky Dinks this year. Really? Shrinky Dinks are awesome, man. You guys remember Shrinky Dinks? Who had Shrinky Dinks? Silly Putty and Shrinky Dinks. Let's not get back to the 80s, 70s maybe. Oof. Gambler and me wants to bet big. Sean's West Marches game will use a hack of Monopoly. Everyone has a copy in their home, whether they want one or not. False. This dude does not have one. I don't know where it went. All right, Hobbs says, my favorite con game was Black Powder, Black Magic with 2 tables of 11 players each, right? White hats and I. GM the black hats. Favorite game to run in a con, hands down, is DCC. It's always a party, armed with my stamps and mini Gong of Doom, spell burning it all at the end and witnessing the crazy results. Always great fun. Dude, I'm selling Cold Shadows. All of it's got to go. All of it. It's on. Dude, I think I've got like 5 rulebooks. I'm going to probably hand those things out at Game Old Con. Wayne, that Breakers game was special. It was. That was a good one too. Josh equals Big Bird. Big Bird. I love Big Bird. Harrigan's Jim and Gabe's locate object shenanigans. Shambot says, my favorite con game was the Take Back Teagle Manor charity game of the DCC at this point. Game Whole Con. Such a wonderful turnout for a cause. My first time getting to play DCC. So what Shambot's referring to is they had Teagle Manor, which is an old, was it by Judges Guild? Teagle Manor, I think, right? Old Judges Guild scenario. Big map of this freaking castle, right? Manor of Teagle Manor. And Corey Welsh, who coordinated that for the charity for Jerry Stefanik, Cure for the Crawl is what it usually is. And so he goes to cons and runs these games for charity, going to the cure the Jerry Stefik Memorial, which goes towards cancer research. And so they created a huge, like, basically map. It looks like a carpet of Teagle Manor, and people were all around it. And then, of course, I don't know if there were things you could bid on in that Shambot or not, but obviously the entry fee and everything came into play. Now everybody like the video or don't like the video, if you'd like. I think we're at max capacity at this point. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Is the question pick someone else's favorite con game? Oh, I suppose it could be. I have yet to run a game at a convention yet. It's just time. Just take the leap. You can do it. Just be, here's the thing. Like, I've run games at conventions. People hated them. And so I'm still here and I'm fine. So don't worry about it. There's your encouragement, right? I've always enjoyed Shadowrun Anarchy. Can enjoy the world without the full Shadowrun rules. Great GM from Catalyst Games, but they've stopped running it. Morning, Tyler. Good to see you. Is there some kind of vow of secrecy at GameCon? Does it follow Vegas rules? What happens at GHC stays at GHC? Who knows? These guys are playing games. They all show up. Who knows? Who knows? Don't worry about it, Todd. Don't worry about it. Shrinking inks and color forms. Oh God! Shrinking inks metal shapes and put colored plastic into a melt into a stained glass looking window decoration. I don't even remember the frames. Like, I thought it was just plastic and you cut and you colored them and then you just put them on a baking sheet. Difficult question. Best con experience was FFG Star Wars, but GM was incredible at the players, and the players were tremendous at narrative. Otherwise, I think a safe rule set like a DCC Funnel or Fate is good. Yeah, Star Wars is a heavy lift at a con game, but if you got a good group with any game, right? Just join Best Con Game. Best Con Game played or run. And that could be the type of game or it could be the title. And if you haven't been to a convention, what would you love to play if you did go? Or what would you love to run if you did run at a convention? Yeah, it's a buffet. There's a lot of questions going on. Don't get sidetracked. Tyler. Off to swap meet at my local. We'll listen along on the drive. Nice, Takoya. All right, awesome. If you do drop, thanks for joining and have a great day. Tyler says, my favorite game to run at a con is Cracked and Crooked Mance for COC. Call of Cthulhu. Have run it 12+ times. Always good to have one in the pocket that you can always just play without. You could probably do it in your sleep, I'm guessing. 4 groups for the charity of Teagle Manor at Game Hole Con. Teagle Map was a Kickstarter option for the Frog God Teagle reprint a few years ago. And yeah, there are a bunch of ways they have set it up
to buy advantages, screw the other table running parallel. Very nice. Arrogant ran a good game of Warlock. That wasn't me. That was shorter, less German Mirko Digital Hobbit. So I'll share that. Harrigan, Mirko, one of the folks we know, I don't know, Mirko's like 6'4", and he couldn't make it. He got sick. And so Harrigan, and he was going to run Warlock, and Harrigan stepped in. And so Harrigan is, he's mentioned like how he's, wasn't prepared, even though I think he was for the most part. And all right, let's get into some other stuff, okay? Because we got, let's do this. So let's see. All right, man. Let's do this. Some stuff, RPG stuff. First one. John, what are you doing? I get my ad blocker. It's telling me to disable it. I will disable it. Sean, you got to let these guys earn some revenue. What are you doing? Sometimes they get too overwhelming. All right. Dungeons & Dragons charity stream to feature Jonathan Frakes, or number one, Deborah Ann Wool, and Star Trek alum. So I thought this was kind of cool. Star Trek's Picard's Todd Stashwick, who was at GaryCon. He's been there this year and last year. He's set to host another live stream D&D game. He's had Jerry Ryan over to his house, I think, to run for others. And Jerry Ryan was in that party, and she had never played before. So if you don't remember Jerry Ryan, she played 7 of 9. So he's and Will Wheaton is going to be in this game. I would love to play with Jonathan Frakes. And you can actually submit a bid to be in the game. I have not done that. So let me rephrase that. You could submit a bid for the possibility of being in the game. So it's kind of like a silent auction gamble. But proceeds go to a great charity, in my humble opinion, the Pavlov Foundation, whose mission is to improve the lives of children living with cancer through the arts. So something I would definitely support. 100% of net proceeds of the hammer price will go to Pledgling Foundation, a nationally registered 501c3 public charity, who will then grant the funds minus fees to the Pavlov Foundation. So, comic. You wonder why I disable ads. Yeah, that'll be fun. Live streams in September of 2020. What? Oh, he streamed something in 2023. I don't remember the date. Oh, will you be watching the One Shot live on April 20th? So that's when it's going to happen. There you go. See if Jonathan Frakes has game. That'll be fun. Let's see. Next, moving on. Pelgrim Press. If you want to know what Pelgrim Press is up to, View from Pelgrim's Nest, April 2024, talks about the new release, the Ocean Game. Way back at the Mist of Time, Dave Alsop, the author of our not content warninged enough book of unremitting horror, wrote up some text about the Ocean Game, which is horrifying out there and perfect fear itself material. So go check that out. Also, it says work in progress update for 13th Age, a second edition. So this month is going to be 13th April. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Rob has now finalized Lee's cover art. They've got a preview document ready to be shared over on Drive-Thru. They've launched Roll20 VTT version of Wade Rocket's excellent intro adventure, Crown of Axis, which you can pick up special bundle with the core book, and if that tempts you to pick up a print copy, They're offering a 50% off the 13th Age core book. Wow. Awesome. I don't know when they're going to kickstart second edition, though. Work in progress update Mutant City Blues becomes part of the Gumshoe community. So it's the community program. Because I was like, what? It is Gumshoe. So part of the community program. Conventions, Shadowcon 2024, Barcelona. So next weekend, which would be a week from yesterday. They're going to be at Shadowcon 2024. Be taking place in Barcelona, Palau Racasens. Exciting. It's going to have Robin D. Laws, Kenneth Hythe, Gareth Ryder, Hanrahan. Sounds like a lot of the Pelgrim Press folks will be there. So that's, if you want to know what's going on with Pelgrim Press, there you go. See you, Jason. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. See you later. Check out Jason's podcast, Nerds Variety Podcast. All right, next. Monty Cook Games announcing the Cypher System Character Builder on April 1st. Ooh, risky. But we've been assured it's not an April Fool's joke. So if you're a Cypher fan, Cypher System fan, you probably already know this. If you're considering Cypher System or dabbled in it, not aware of this, there you go. So the digital initiative of Cypher tools for Cypher System and Monty Cook Games, there you are. Go check that out if you are so inclined. All right. And I think that's it for we'll go here. EN World, not affiliated with any of these websites, but go and check them out and click on all their ads. Let's see. All right. So this is some of the print news thing. No. This is just kind of what's going on from EN World. Just wanted to. Oh, I think this was like. Never mind. This falls outside. So independent Call of Cthulhu creators of the Miskatonic repository bundle, Northern Lights and Darkness. So it's a bundle kind of spiel. They were. Oh, that's now it's coming to me. Should just read, and I probably can figure it out. So the Phoenix Awards, because it says right there, was granted to, or awarded to, bestowed upon, given to Call of Cthulhu creators, Miskatonic repository bundle, Northern Lights and Darkness. So at GothCon, which is in Gothenburg, Sweden, they got their own publisher up there in the Sweden. What's going on here? Anyways, this weekend it won the Silver Phoenix Award for Best Third Party or Community Content. So bringing together a special blend of Scandinavian folklore and cosmic horror, the Northern Lights and Darkness bundle collects 6 modern-era Call of Cthulhu scenarios with Nordic settings. All were written by and feature art by natives of those countries, all available in English. So there you go. Excuse me. See you, Laramie. So if you are a Call of Cthulhu fan and kind of want to see some of the folks that have created some Nordic-based scenarios, these may be worth checking out. It's probably one of the games I would like to play more, but I just don't. But there you go. All right. Let's do this. Moving right along. Got important stuff to cover. All right. print news. Compendium of Dungeon Crawls Volume 1, Compendium of Dungeon Crawls Volume 2 by Goodman Games. Yeah, Goodman Games does 5e stuff, just so you know. $50 each. 7 adventures covering levels 1 to 12 are included in both of these, I think. Oh, no, I apologize. The first one is 1 to 12 on the Volume 1. Volume 2 has 8 adventures covering levels 1 to 10. So there you go. Dr. Groardbort limited bundle by Exalted Funeral. So this is for 5th edition, $125. Blast off into a retro futuristic pulp sci-fi cosmos bursting with ray guns, rocket ships, and robots. Based on comics, art, and universe invented by Weta Workshop's Greg Broadmoor. So Weta Workshop, folks that did a lot of the work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy for Mr. Jackson. Complete with more than 400 illustrations. And lots of goodies. 61 creatures, 26 NPCs. It's a limited bundle, includes 9 items, also for sale separately. So there you go. And then Encounter Cards, challenge rating 7+, pack 1. Encounter Cards, challenge rating 7+, pack 2. By Beetle and Grimm. 30 cards that hang on a GM screen. $30 each. Of each pack. It's pretty cool. All right. Benighted Betrothal. OSR. Hardcover. This is from Melsonia Arts Council. Hardcover adventure. 3rd level PCs are outsiders from beyond the fjords. Visitors to Nooper. But are welcome to Jarl Olaf Gunborn's feast. It's going to get harder for me to speak later. His daughter is celebrating her betrothal into an ambitious rival clan, but there are forces working against the union. And then last but not least, nope, we got one more. Traveler. Can't go a week without a Traveler release from Mongoose. Hardcover supplement, check it out. Zombicide Road to Haven campaign book, Zombicide Chronicles, free RPG days, the Zombicide Chronicles piece. When is our free RPG day? Is that like today? Tomorrow? Later? I don't even know when. I should probably look it up. May? I don't know. Anyways, check these out. Alan Barr, Heirs to Heresy, The Fall of the Knights Templar by Osprey Games. It's a January release, but worth covering. So it's been out. Branded a heretic and turned fugitive, the PCs are on the run. I want every outhouse. Out June 22nd is free RPG day, says Shambot, just so everybody knows. I want every outhouse, boathouse, train house, doghouse. Our fugitives, our player characters. Other nightly orders like the Hospitalers and the Teutonics are potential allies, but could turn on the PCs instead. Introduces new nightly orders, mighty relics, mysteries, and foes both mortal and supernatural. There you go. All right, moving right along. Clickety-clackety. Clickety-clackety. Crowdfunding. Here we go. Another Cthulhu RPG rises, but this time, you're the monsters. Tired of playing cultists and investigators in your Cthulhu games? The Elder Mythos TTRPG turns Eldritch Horror genre on its head. So they're a dime a dozen these days. But publisher Mana Project Studio, which is something I'm going to have to cough about. Excuse me, sorry. Latest Kickstarter project by letting you play as Elder Gods. According to the crowdfunding page that launched on April 3rd, Elder Mythos role-playing game is a game of cosmic horror where Lovecraftian beings attempt to dominate the world. Excuse me. What are you guys talking about in there? 1970s Call of Cthulhu Cross County Road Trip Grindhouse West Marches game. Oh boy. The pennant in me thinks you guys don't know what West Marches is. If only Sean would release that video. I'm sure Sean will explain West Marches in part 2. Yeah, that's true. What's up, Tim? From Forge Midwest. If you're in the area, yeah, get there. Awesome. Tim, I hope you're having fun. And Shambot's telling me to get rid of the text. Gabe Diving +1. All right, let's go. All right. Gabe, you see this? Cthulhu Crisis Comic and Monsters RPG Adventures, a fantasy comic saga which includes role-playing game adventures for use with Ken St. Andre's Monsters RPG. And I say Gabe because he's a fan of the Tunnels and Trolls. Not for me, he says. No. Hey, Ty, good to see you. So this Kickstarter, 3,600. It's at 9,400. So I think it used the Tunnels and Trolls system. Yeah. Yeah. As many of you know, we like to try new ways of creating stories and adventures. This time we have something very special. Tunnels and Trolls, which is Monsters, creator Ken St. Andre, comic/gaming artist Stephen Crompton, and wrestling promoter Chris Perguidi have joined forces to create 5 combined comic and RPG adventures that can be read like a comic and used for running RPG adventures with the Monsters role-playing game. There you go. 3 books. Here's what the books look like. So check it out. Came across my radar. There's 19 days to go on the crowdfunding campaign. If you are so interested. Did I put this link in there? Maybe not. I did not. West March is okay. Julian's Adventure? Where I'm not. Is it? I don't know if I know of it. Station 665. I will look it up. Where is it on Kickstarter? Is it? Where is it, Hobbs? Here it is. I got it. It's right there in front of you, dude. Click down. All right. This is by Scott Swift. Is Julian in on this? Is that what the deal is? Hey, it's Julian's Kickstarter, and then it's Scott Swift who's the creator. Come on, Hobbs. What are you doing to me, man? $5,000 or $2,500 goal, 5,200. This is a 3rd level Mutant Crawl Classics compatible adventure by Julian Burnick. There you go. Scott is just running that campaign for him, apparently. So, Julian, Hobbs knows Julian. He's up in the Twin Cities area, I believe, right, Hobbs? So, Julian's been in the DCC space. He's also hosted or been in Spellburn, right? Spellburn podcast. Gary Con attendee, and probably Con of the North, I'm guessing, too. So here you go. Check it out. If you're an MCC fan, $8 for the PDF only. It's a level 3, I mentioned level 3 Mutant Crawl Classics compatible adventure. Yeah, there you go. Host of Spellburn and author of many Goodman games and third-party adventures. So, boom. Link. All right. Kicking on here. Kicking it up. All right. This one hasn't even launched yet. So this is by Mythmere Games, Mr. Matt Finch's company. So optional supplemental rules for Swords and Wizardry and other OSR games, a book of new monsters and adventure, and much more. Putting Gabe on the spot again. Gabe, are you in on it? Are you going to be in on this? Gabe's a big Swords and Wizardry fan. That's why I ask. Considering it, I don't know about supplements. Fair. Fair. If you're interested, I will put a link. So if you're a Swords and Wizardry fan, whoa, I guess it doesn't let me put in a link that long. What the heck? Wow, that is insane. Well, let's see. Maybe I can just do this. He's considering how many he will buy, Harrigan says. The reason Harrigan says that is because Gabe, how many books do you have? 5, 6 Swords and Wizardry books? 10. There's the link. If you are a Swords and Wizardry fan and would like some more stuff, many, he said. Many is that more than a few? I think he goes like one, couple, few, many. Tons. Buttloads. Shit tons. If you're making up your own RPG world and you need a measure of quantity, you're welcome. I'd have to count. Again. Too funny. All right, let's see. We're going on. Moving on. Where'd my mouse go? Let's see if we missed any. Coriolis, I think I went over this one. Let's see where they are at. Anybody want to know, like, ballpark where they're at? Don't look. Ballpark? Guesses? Guess the funding amount of Kickstarter. Anyone? Bueller? The faster you guess, the faster I can get to West March's talk. See, I'm holding that topic hostage. Not that you guys care. You just drop off anyway. Dude, I don't have time for these games. All right, there we go. 500, Tyler says. Shambot, 300. Ty says $1. About $3.50, says Tim. Okay. Is a metric shit ton bigger or smaller than an Imperial one? I always forget. Jury's out. 200,000 space credits. It is 500 and somebody probably should have said, well, what is their currency? SEC? Like, I don't remember I don't know what it's called, but I know it's SEK. Jason's back. He couldn't stay away. Honey, I got to get back to this thing. I had to correct Sean on stuff. He's sliding back in here. 577,000 US dollars funded of a 2,300K campaign, US dollars. So 5,500 backers. There's still 5 days to go. Yeah. So if you're a fan of Coriolis, if you're a fan of Coriolis, you might have opinions about this. We were talking about it on the Discord, a little bit about it. The quick starts out there. I give these guys a lot of airtime. What can I say? I'm a fan. What are you going to do? Total biased media. You're welcome. What do you expect? All right, next. Knights of Dust and Neon. This is by Monty Cook Games Cypher System. Most popular pledge is 190 bones. What is this thing at? It's on BackerKit because I think he's got an agreement with BackerKit. 284 grand of a 100K goal. Good for Monty putting it up there and not just like, oh, we'll put a $10,000, level on, minimum. So Monty wanted to make sure it's all in to get this. And BackerKit's different, I think, than Kickstarter and how I don't know. If it's all funded, then great. Or you can, opt to still create it despite hitting your minimum funding level. But anyways, 1,800 backers, 280, essentially 285,000 right now, and has 6 days left. So this is what he will use for West Marches. Oh, that's your guess. Well, all right, moving on. Lost Bay, suburban gothic RPG from the Lost Bay studio. I think this was brought up in an article that was, hey, it's coming, or it was out in the early part of the campaign. It's a original core rulebook. Human-made sweat, flesh, and passion are behind each word and image of the Lost Bay. They don't use AI-generated content. Put that in there. Need a game that combines the mundane and supernatural, all set in suburban gothic world of 1980s horror and 90s indie culture? There you go. That's right. It was the 90s thing. 160-page core rulebook, 100-page adventure anthology. Yeah. 44K of 5K goal. 4 days to go. Welcome to the Big Empty Blue. Big Empty Blue, number 1 and 2, graphic novels, and D&D 5e resources by Marco Antonio Piana. Canadian dollars, $10 Canadian dollars for both the PDFs and the source books, plus VTT assets, $20,000 pledged of a $3,000 goal. It's inspired by The Legend of Zelda, Avatar, The Last Airbender, One Piece, and the works of Studio Ghibli. Flavor Text Adventures Cooking Monsters for 5e from Flavor Text Adventures. 5e source book. Who Wants to Eat Their Enemies? This book's title is a play on words conveying the cookbook source book of monster baking recipes. Look at that, $6,666 of $4,500. And then Fear the Con. If you're down in the St. Louis, Missouri area, or not, and you're wanting to go to Fear the Con, something you might want to check out. It hasn't been funded yet, but it still has 2 weeks to go. So there you go. And then CharCon, gaming convention as well. This one is funded. It's in Charleston, West Virginia. 17th year. Trying to get some funding on the upfront. And then, is it last? Sure enough, last. EN World being polite to all their other, highlighting the other ones up front. And then leaving, they may think the best for last. Level Up Advanced 5th Edition D&D and 5e. Plain Strider's Journal for Level Up. And that is 83,000 pounds, quid, of a 5,000 quid goal. So, man, there's folks buying up the EN World stuff for sure. So there you go. Oh, that's not actually your guess. Oh, is it? Well, as he said, Coriolis for the West Marches. I knew Arcadian Eden Prince would help out on that one. All right. Look at that. Plenty of time to talk. West Marches is happening. Taking down notes. Gauging interest. So if you are interested in partaking in my West Marches game. So this is one thing that's occurred to me. This is going to be kind of a tangent, So hang in there. So for a long time, many folks that are tuned in and in the chat and have, been part of the gaming and BS community where I had a podcast with my co-host Brett for a while. We brought up West Marches and came across it kind of new. And then it was right around the time Matt Colville had put out the video about it and talked about it. So the concept, as it's explained, is not necessarily new. But Ben Robbins, maker of Microscope and a few other games like Kingdom, and then one of his most recent ones. If you want to check out who Ben Robbins is a little bit in his background. Craig Shipman on Third Floor Wars interviewed him. No mention of West Marches, but Ben gets a lot of credit because he did a blog post about his game and campaign and how it, kind of the details of that. And a lot of people reference that blog post. So it's a style of campaign. If you're not familiar, there's tons of videos out there that'll tell you what the rest, like the key components of West Marches is. And I've always wanted to run one, never pulled the trigger, and now I'm finally. I think the time is wrong. Is my point. Like, what? Yeah, the time is wrong, and I'll tell you why the time is wrong for me. See you, Tim. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. Have fun at Forge Midwest. All the best to you and Willow in a smooth con. I say it's a bad time because if I had started this before much of the community has taken shape, it would have accomplished much of what our Discord and community has come to be, right? So one example is, and I was thinking of this as I was kind of posting it. I had put it out. My buddies Joe and Jeff I game with once a month. They're the home start group, you know, the guys I've known for over 40 years. And they just said, hey, I'm starting up this is another game. If you guys are interested, it's kind of, you know, if you're not familiar with West Marches, it's kind of a drop in, drop out sandbox exploration game. And the thing about that is, like, they aren't, you know, they don't go to conventions. They don't play with like 3 or 4 different game groups. You know, their profile as gamers are a little lower profile than some of us. Like, some of us listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, buy any release that comes out. Like, as a matter of fact, I'll give Mr. Salzwedel some kudos, and Gabe was on his most recent camp podcast episode, which is the 3D chicken coop. So they were talking a little bit about campaigns and tone and things of that nature. And one of the things that had come up in that episode was, you know, there's a group of gamers that just really get into RPGs. Like, they're all in deep end. And then there are folks that play at home in their own group with their own friends. And that's it. Like, that's their world. And it's like typically a single game, maybe a couple games. And that's, I think, the norm. I think that's the norm. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a difference, right? And I bring that up because I posted it to them, and I'm like, I don't know if they would ever want to play in a West Marches game, because they're going to be playing with who they would think is strangers and who are strangers. And one of the things about West Marches is, if you're not familiar, is it's to facilitate a huge player base. Like, if you want to have 10 to 20 players in a game or a group, then West Marches is the way to go, or helps with that. It's kind of its thing, or underlying theme. And so where am I? I'm kind of getting distracted, so I gotta now look at the chat and just kind of keep going here. So one of the things that, if it's the wrong time, like, many of you know each other. Like, we've had BSRCon. Let me close this. What am I doing? Sorry, guys. That's interesting. Okay. We've had BSRCon, and we have the Discord, and we've had a podcast, and we've had forums, and we've been to Gamehole Con, and many of us have met each other in some way, shape, or form, and interacted with each other, even just being in the chat. Some of you know kind of the dynamics of some of the people in the chat. And one of the things I'm cautious of is that the West Marches, if nobody knew each other, and they wanted to know or get to know each other and meet new people and play with different people, kind of see their different styles. Or, hey, I kind of know, I see Harrigan in the chat. It'd be interesting to play because I talk to, like, I see some of the things that he posts on Discord, and I still think there's elements of that. But my fear is that it becomes clicks. Like, hey, let's all get together and come to Sean and say, hey, we want to go and explore this. And there's a part of me that's like, you know, with some of like Jeff and my buddy Joe, they're probably like, I'll just stick with Castles and Crusades. I'm not, you know, it doesn't interest me to play with other people outside their circles. So I say timing is in like, I guess, I don't know if timing has to do with it or not. But anyways, that's kind of what's going through my brain. No one thinks that after reading what I write at the Discord, Sean. Well, that's good, I think. Groups get created over time and they could just play with each other. That's right. Yes, that could happen, which is fine. That's not a big concern because I do think, who was it recently? Somebody recently posted, Roger? Was it Roger? That were kind of like, hey, I'm running a game for my home group, but it's starting to kind of feel different. And I don't know if it was like the level of involvement or what have you, or they find it beer and pretzels. I take it a little more seriously. Like there's these dynamics that occur over time. Hey, there's Roger. Speak of the devil. Was it? I think it was you, Roger, right? Yes, it was. Because Roger's like, yes, Roger is leaving a group. That's right. And he's looking at creating another one. And I don't know if he's, left his group. And where am I going with this? Anyways, the group dynamics of a West Marches game, many have said I kind of want to facilitate it where you can't adventure with the same people like more than once back to back. Otherwise, you'll have the same group come to you all the time. I don't think that's the case. I think BSers are good enough. Good enough. I think they're in a spot where that's not a big deal. However, I will say, just because I'm thinking of this, are we going to have a person that may show up and be not, there's going to be people that'll be like, yeah, good person, just a different play style than I'm used to. And that happens with any game group. And then what happens is that person may end up getting isolated. So I'm conscious of that. I don't think it's I don't foresee it being a huge deal. But, you know, it's a thought that I think just to be conscious of. Ugh. Sean and articulation. That's why I can blabber for an hour, because it takes me 20 minutes to get to a point. Anyways, schedules are too hard. You won't get the exact same group over and over. Okay, good, yeah. I think even without clicks, people end up playing together more often than not because of similar schedules. Okay, getting good reassurance. Thanks, guys. That's good. Social dynamics. Yeah, I think it's inevitable. I just think it's inevitable as long as it doesn't get completely out of control and it doesn't become the same 8 players, maybe. I mean, 8 players, 2 teams of 4 that kind of go back and forth amongst each other. But I do think, and Jim says not the exact same group is in the same time slots every time, but I think schedule ends up being the biggest determining factor. Yes. And that is okay. Like if it's like, hey dude, I can only play on Mondays. So if these 2 people can only play on Mondays and every Monday they're in the same group, I get it. Not a big deal. It's my way of saying kind of like, I want to be conscious of, you know, team A always getting getting the ones that can play all the time. So, dude, Tops. Hello, have you met me? I don't know. All right. So I'm looking at art, for inspiration. And it's going to be like, I think the tone is going to be black and white line art, showing scenes. That's going to like a consistency. It might be silly, but if I say character portraits, they got to be black and white line art, like just a tone of that piece. So some of the things that have been going through my brain for a long, long time, which I have mentioned on stream or in videos or, on Discord or even just talking with people, system's a big one. I want to have people playing a system that they're kind of excited about or good with. I also am conscious of like, oh, I got to buy another book. And then what if the campaign falls apart? I'm stuck with this game that I bought. Thanks, Sean. Good job. I'm not worried about I'm overthinking it. Hobbs is right for sure. But I also don't want to be the person who's never thought of these things. And then it becomes an issue and bites me in the ass. Strong start, Sean. Thanks, Harrigan. I do the same thing in my OSR play-by-post games, black and white only. Yeah. So, and it sets a tone, right? So we all know, most of us know, West March is driven by the players. You guys want to play? You guys come together, figure out where you want to go. I provide a calendar. You say, I want to play on Saturday between the 8 a.m. slot on a Saturday. Oh, what about the stream? No, not that time. We'll still stream. But we want to play this time and we want to go to this place. I want to create an incentive for people to drive that, right? So there will be inherent people that are like, hey, I want to play, yay, gung ho, and they'll be wanting to do that. That's fine. But I want to also incentivize people to do that. Otherwise, people might sit around and go, hey, you do it. I don't know. I'm waiting for Harrigan to initiate it. Well, is anybody going to want to do this? Like, just take charge. And by doing that, you get a little more XP or whatever, right? Little nugget to be able to do that, because it does take some work to coordinate. So if you're the coordinator or the leader of the exhibition, if you will, yay, okay? Ty's keep going. He's Ty, you're not gonna like what I probably put out there anyway, so it's gonna be 5e. No, I'm just kidding. Fate? Why fate? Why wouldn't it be fudge? Ty, like fate. Gotta drop soon. Jim's like holding on, like, dude, get to the point, man. I gotta leave. Hang in there, Jim. Hey, this is being recorded, so if you had to drop, Jim, thanks for showing up, man. Thanks for all you do. So I have a map. I have a world map. I don't know if it's one that I want to go with. The premise, I think what I'm going to do is set it where everybody is from an island. And they've been on the island kind of living their lives. Like everything has been fine there. Everything is status quo. But then it's like, we got to go to the mainland. And you're sent to the mainland to set up things and explore it. And so the land might have had a cataclysm at some point. Something happened where people settled on this island. And now it's time, like, dudes, I am tired of being on this island. I'm going to go out. And so that's what happens. A settlement is created near a coast, and everything westward, eastward, northward, southward, wherever is like, you're going to go out and explore everything from there. That's going to be probably the premise. And then it's going to fall in with the traditional West Marches where everybody will share everything that they come across and then probably carve it into a table, draw on this wall that's in an N at the village that has been set up. And that's going to be the premise. So it's literally like, well, we can't go that way because that's just sea and we go back to the island and it's dangerous. Or the premise is you just grew up in that village and nobody's ventured out. Either way, it's tomato. Listen to Hobbs. I wouldn't give XP. The reward is doing what you want for the caller. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Sure, I could do that. That's what Hobbs says. Okay. Orcus Dorcas, it's going to be Sean's own homebrew system. You'll get the 465-page PDF soon after joining. To be delivered in 2025. And you'll get it in 2026. Hobbs, you should do a podcast. Yeah, Hobbs and Jason and Jason. And then some rules, like, do I allow, halflings, dwarves, elves, or do I just say everybody's human? And that's the deal. So that's still kind of being ironed out. So one of the things I put up on Patreon, which I mentioned, so you can become a member of my Patreon and not have to contribute any money. Just so you know, that was changed a while ago. So if you're not a member of my Patreon, please do so. I'd like to kind of put polls and things there. I would do it in Discord as well, but Discord will probably be the central place to administer, because Patreon, I could put things out, but you guys cannot, you guys can't post there. You post in comments, but I'm kind of starting with patrons first, honestly. That's why I'm starting at Patreon. So I put out a poll that just said, hey, if you're interested in a West Marches game, what would you potentially be able to play? Like, how often? Very ballpark. Once a week, twice a month, once a month, once a quarter. It just gives me an understanding of what the pool may look like. Because one of the things people have had advice about, like even Ben, was start small. Start with a small group, because they're going to go, hey man, how does this work? I didn't see that in your document. And I'll go, oh shit, I didn't think about that. Damn. And then I will contribute to it. Whereas if I get like 20 people that are interested and I start doing this, then all of a sudden it's like I get 10 people asking me that same question. So it's going to be kind of a more manageable thing. And the way that I'll do that is through Patreon. Again, you can become a patron and not have to pay me anything. Okay, just so you know. But I will also say that the folks that have been supporting me all this time with, hard-earned cash, and some have been very generous, I want to tap their brains, give them something for that as well, and get their feedback, yada, yada, right? So just so you know, I have to use Discord probably as a central kind of meeting place. I don't know if I'll do it on the BS Landia server. I want to, because then people will kind of get that interest and look, and even if they're not playing, they may go, oh, this sounds like a lot of stuff's going on. It's cool. But, I want to have, a thread for players to talk, places that, downtime activities, some of those channels, and then some of the things, a question and answer place. So here's where you go to do this. Here's where you go to do that. Here's the documentation resource that you guys can read, like how to create a character. I am sure I'm overthinking the snot out of this, which is interesting, because when I watch videos, it's like, well, this is what the campaign's about, so then go. Like, here's the things it has to facilitate, and then I get my group and go. I don't know. There was one video I was listening to or watching, and I'm like, he never says how big the group is, which is always interesting to me. Because, like, running a West Marches game for 5 people for a home group, to me, you obviously can do it. There's nobody saying you can't. But it is a different beast than if you're anticipating 10, 20. I would be saying, I think 10 is going to be probably, I could be wrong. Because I think a lot of people aren't going to jam on what West Marches offers. Like, they're going to want the linear big social story, but it's West Marches is very exploratory in nature. Harrigan says, idea for the table that gets carved / wall that gets written on. Use a public Excalidraw, Trello, or Miro board. Good advice. Yes, good. I will keep that in mind. Gabe says, so is it's trad fantasy. Getting closer. It is going to be traditional fantasy. Yes. Because Gabe's like, halves, halflings, elves, dwarves. Gabe, that guy's so smart. If you want more of Gabe, go check out Analytic Dice Podcast or the latest episode of 3D Chicken Coop. Yes, it'll be fantasy. The reason I could have, there was a point where I was like, I could do Coriolis, the Dark, whatever the newest Kickstarter is. I forgot even what the title is, because I think it will facilitate a decent science fiction West Marches type style game, but it's not out. The quick start's good. It's, mostly there. There's pre-gens that you can download, but I don't want to start a game that's not even out. So that would be the big one for sure. Also, West Marches, fantasy. It's just, do you want an encounter generator? Do you need a name generator? Do you need a place? All those resources are already out there. There's so much fantasy stuff out there that's just you can lean on. And hey, everybody, we're going to do fantasy role-playing game. Boom. Everybody's brain is typically very much either in the box or around the edges of the box. So it's very defined. Science fiction. So is this like horror and exploration or resource intensive? Is this like Star Trek technology? Does it have faster than light like drives? And it's like dudes, blah, right? It's my you guys are killing me. Palladium. I don't know if I've ever read a Palladium book. There you go. Take my nerd card. Oh no, he's ending his podcast. You're not ending your podcast, are you, Jason? Are you sunsetting that? Did I miss an update? Okay. Reading the comments, mounting the suspense. Yeah, Hobbs and Harrigan should do a color and commentary critique podcast on Sean's handling of his West Marches game once a month. I would tune into that. I would never be a guest, but I would tune into it. The world is going to call it's going to should I even divulge the name regardless of what the map looks like? I think I'm going to call the world Biaslandia. Yeah, I know, original, right? I want to do some calls and little Easter eggs through the campaign that'll okay, all right. We could do rolls plus perms to make it readable, permissions to make it readable by everyone, but only participants can post in game channels, if that helps. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, there's some nuances, I think, to that, which is good. Yeah. You'll get way more than that. Bob's talking about probably the amount of participants. Heading over to Patreon. My schedule is prohibited, but I am interested in seeing how this comes together. And that's fine. Like, I expect people like, hey, man, I'm not going to play. I'll maybe play once a month, maybe like once a quarter. Like, my game canceled. I've never played in Sean's West Marches. I know it's still going. I'm just going to, like, sounds like this one group needs another player. I'm in, right? That's perfectly acceptable. That's, I expect that. People are going to bail and never be seen again. I am expecting that. I'm good with that, right? Do I have a timeline on how long this thing is going to go for? Absolutely no. Absolutely not. I don't know if this thing is going to be 3 months or 3 years or 30 years. I have no idea. Be a positive force, you nerds. Truer words have never been spoken or typed. Words have typed. Creative criticism, constructive criticism, and heaps of adulation. Yeah. All right. I'll organize expedition to find a buried spaceship. There's definitely going to be one somewhere, right? I mean, people know I've got hangups, but I may break out of those. Like, it is from a game master perspective, I may be more willing to kind of go, they come across something really weird in the desert somewhere. Gabe laughs. Sean is growing. Well, old dog, new tricks. Trying not to give in to the old stereotype. I'm trying, folks. So session-wise, probably 3 to 4 hours tops. I think 5 torches deep. Traveling back rule is going to come into play. I kind of like that. So if you're not familiar with that, it's like if you make it back to the city or the village, great. But if you don't, then you roll and then you determine how much you may have lost on the way back or maybe got hung up. It's kind of at a high level overview. We'll see about implementing that. I like kind of that piece. All right. See you, Jim. But I think the system I'm leaning more on is Shadowdark. I know I had Jim's attention at Swords and Wizardry. I had his curiosity before I mentioned that. I think that might be the route I go. I think it's kind of I like the aesthetic. I like some of the things that it offers. I like that it's a little lighter. It's light enough, but not to go too far to the OSE space. Swords and Wizardry is definitely a good system too as well. No taking it away from any other system out there. Ty's going to love this. I actually contemplated 5th edition. And if I did 5th edition, I would have house ruled a ton of stuff. Like, here's the things that you can play. But I think Shadowdark might get me there quicker than 5th edition. And the reason I was thinking 5th edition, 1 SRD, everybody's probably had it. Everybody's probably played it. So, not everybody is Shadowdark. Not everybody's played it. Not everybody knows it. And there's going to be a point where I think people are they're probably going to want to buy it, right? Otherwise, how do you create a character? What's the spell effect? So, yeah. Now, I could say, hey, here I could come up with 3, which I think was kind of what I was thinking was I'll come up with 3 systems that I have no problem running and being enthused about, and then posting them as a poll and saying, hey, if you're remotely interested in playing in this game, please consider weighing in on these options. But I would also want to give more weight to those that are more interested. Because if you're going to play once a year, then you being adamant about playing in a particular game system kind of should carry a lot less weight, in my humble opinion. So I think that's the route I want to go. It's got a good balance. I mean, DCC isn't out of the realm of possibility either. I mean, I like DCC. That's not a bad system. It's not a bad game. I mean, I would, that also evokes a certain tone. But I'm looking for, black and white, kind of old school line art. You're going to go out and explore the strange. It's not going to be. DCC is great, and I know you can play it in different ways and styles and environments and things like that. You don't have to kind of go with. You can make it your own. but there is a element of can be gonzo. Casting a first, second level spell, rolling a 30 plus on your spell casting result. I mean, spell duels like interplanar explosions and, nuclear size catastrophes. Not exactly what I want to go with. Like a little bit more nittier, grittier. I also don't want it to be hugely bookkeeping. I know they've got some good carousing things that might come in handy. I also want to be sensitive to that. Like downtime activities is specific what I'm referring to. They got a lot of tables in there. It's also a D20 based, right? Slim down 5e. So it's not going to be lost on some people that, know that world or that kind of system and mechanics world. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm going through, I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about it and the nuances, because some of the nuances make it interesting. So for me just to go, torches, I know the rule is that it burns for an hour in real time game, but we're just going to hand wave that, and it's like, well, then what's the point? Because some of the things that I think that you lean on in a system makes the system what it is. So whatever, and the experience that it's trying to facilitate. So if you've guessed Shadowdark, if it is not like this is the deal, then it's on the top of the rank, and we'll see what everybody else has to say. I don't think I'll get a lot of pushback. I don't think a lot of people other than Ty is going to say, "Oh, that's dumb. I'm never going to play that." But there may be people that, would play other things more. I would think, I'm guessing, that if I put OSE, DCC, Swords and Wizardry, and Shadowdark, even 5th edition, on a poll, I am interested to see how it would come out. Because I'm interested to hear what's going on in your brain, like as it relates to this. Like, if you were to do a West Marches game, what would you think of? Wayne missed it. You did miss it, Wayne. You can rewind. I think I have the DVR function in. If you rewind literally 7 minutes maybe. Always play a race that has dark vision. See, Ty knows a little bit about it. I'm selling Ty short. I apologize for that, Ty. I will give Shadowdark a try. Well, all right. Good for you, man. Good. Ty, I appreciate that. Tells me you got a little flexibility in you. I like that. You can have preferences. Nothing wrong with that. So, what are you going to use for Overland Rules? Overland Rules, they do have some of that in Shadowdark. I have to look at that. That's going to be a big one. Now, I know a certain somebody and I had been kind of going back and forth about that, and they're like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think? Well, then it's a no-brainer. It's for Forbidden Lands and Year Zero engine. And that would be one strong contender for me, because it is really about survivability and exploration, and that's what that game is about. And it does make a lot of sense. But I also have to say, are a lot of people going to buy into that game system? Like actually go, okay, I guess I got to go out and buy the player handbook. And that game, like you get the PDF, and I think you can get a player's guide now, if I'm not mistaken. But before you couldn't. Like you bought the box or you didn't get the game. Like you didn't get the player's guide. So, going to Overland Travel, going for Orcus Dorcas's question is, I'm going to check out Shadowdark, see what that has to offer. One of the things I'm kind of toying is, like, if there is a point of where somebody's going, and in between that travel, am I going to want to futz with that? Or if it's just, okay, you're there, mark the time, it's going to take them 4 days. make a couple random rolls, and maybe that moves the days, right? Maybe it took them longer, ran into shitty weather, but I don't know if I want to just like generalize it, meta it, or because, okay, let's see, roll for a random encounter. Oh, a random encounter. And so then the session is just the random encounter. And that's not what I want to do. And that might be a problem if I played other systems. Could be a problem with Shadowdark as well, or even Forbidden Lands. Oh, we're getting together. We want to go and check out the keep. On the way, we ran into an issue, and for 2.5 hours, we all know that an encounter can be 10 minutes or 4 hours. And we never know why. I mean, some of us do, but we, as game masters, we don't know if it's going to be 10 minutes. Like we think we do, but all of a sudden the party's like, well, let's think about this. Hold on. Like, all right, let's go around. I think we should go around this way. I think we should do this. And and everybody's got an opinion. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, and then now they never get to the keep. And literally everybody came together to get to the keep. So I want to have the, it's exploration to think that you're just going to explore and not run into something. And they could come across something else that they're going to uncover. So now on the way to this thing, they did come across this. I also have to be kind of prepared for that if I want to throw that into the mix on their path there, right? So there's some nuances to it. And some people like, oh, that's nice. Not going there. Keep going. But then I would be prepared for it because the West Marches game tells me where you guys are going to go. So it's easier to manage even if I want to throw something into the mix. So it's a balance. And that's the thing with some of these videos is they don't get into some of these really, really tight nuances. So I really want to start kind of like documenting this. I probably will do video. I got to do a video on the experience for sure. I don't know. That's just me. I'm totally like, dude, you are way overthinking it. Hobbs could be right on the head. And some of you might be like, dude, you are way deep. Like, you got to get out of your brain, put up a house rule thing, get this thing rolling, get some dates on a calendar, have people start picking. And then I got to get some rumors. I've started on that. Rumors, some just points. Some people run random, complete random. They don't plan anything. You want to go over that direction? Sounds good. And then they sit down and they run it and they roll on a few tables. Boom. And I think that's great if they pull it off and it's good and it's solid and everybody's, it doesn't seem kooky for some reason. But I got to have a few things to give people some seeds, right? To the people that, like Harrigan said, hey, Post-it notes, rumors. I've thought about NPCs. Resources too, like where do they go if they're in the town and they want to buy something? So you got to have a little inn thing, and where do they want to, is there somebody that can help them identify things if they can't identify them? Do you have identify? So, what happens when they don't make it back to town? Is it just, well, you make it back to town, that's it, boom. What happens when they try to go further and it takes super long time to get way out to the edges? And some people are like, well, for balance, you leave kind of the easier encounters closer to where they're adventuring. And then as they explore outward, they get harder and bigger and tougher and more complex. So then how do you get them out there? And you can't, well, you stay 58, you finally arrive to where you're going. And I have some things that I think could help with that. And you guys probably won't find them as a big surprise or secret, but there's just those nuances that I think some will work and some will bomb. And I'm totally good with that. And I know some of you will leave very constructive feedback. I would only expect as much. You guys will give me good advice. I have great game masters in the chat, on the Discord, in the community. Like, I am all about the feedback because you guys aren't going to steer me wrong. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Though I do wonder if it has tools outside the dungeon. Yes, one of the concerns I had with Shadowdark is like, oh, it's all about dungeon delving and that's the thing and doody-doo. I don't think it's that bad. That was my initial thought, but it's got overland travel rules. Yes, supplements of the system or loads of supplements for the system as well. Does West End March have overland rules? It can, yes. Normal OSC methods work perfectly, but yeah, hex size, watches, supplies, yes. Like, what's the distance of a hex? What happens if you get lost? Are you going to have everybody roll? Like, nope. Some of those things, even if it's outlined in Shadowdark, there's going to be one scout, I think. In Shadowdark, it's like one person makes a roll, and if they fail, you get put into a random hex. Like, literally, that's the rule. If you don't make the DC, you end up in a random hex. I don't know if that's the way to go. Forbidden Lands, the way that works is you fail the roll on leading the way, and you run into something, an encounter. But I don't think it moves you out of the hex, which I appreciate. Because a hex, 6 Mile hex, yeah, you could get lost, but holy shit, man. Like, you're getting like 12 miles out of the way? I guess maybe it's possible. But Forbidden Lands handles it where they kind of throw you an encounter where you might come to a river and then you fall into the river. Or you have to cross the river and that you didn't know it was there. Stream, probably. River you might be able to see, but a stream. Fast flowing stream? I don't know. Creek, whatever. The inventory system may be an issue for long treks without some sort of pack animals, wagon, etc. Not sure. Haven't read the full book. Gabe says, yeah, no predicting game time. D20 days to travel, roll off half of that for encounters. Ryan says, also, if you die, then you just play as the hireling? Or hireling, he says. Not a question. Hireling. Yeah. Orcus Dorcas says, well, you just pay the down payment on your hirelings and grab the coins back from their corpses. Or that's what I've been told. Shambot says, that's true. Shadowdark has some great tables in the core book. Not that finding good tables is really an issue for anyone anymore. Right. Ty says, I like encounters versus random hex idea. Yeah, I do too, Ty. We agree on something. Hey, there's hope. Hey, all right. So, yes, yeah. Yeah. I want to get this thing off in May. May. I want to get a calendar. Here's my availability. Get those up. Want to get some, plot points for people to investigate and be interested in checking out. And then some charge and outline rules to let people know about the system. Yeah. Yep. I think with West March's style game, you may want to waive the travel rules or summarize them. Usually you want folks to adventure and return to the base in one session. Yes, for sure. Yes, agreed. And it may be one of these where it's like you're traveling and on the way, I could just say you don't encounter anything and you're there. Very easy. And then maybe just don't complicate it. KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Which is probably the best way to error, or the best side to error on. But I could always say, hey, off in the distance, you see this thing. Noted. But also make it very clear, like you see it in the distance. Just so you know. Not, oh, we see it in the distance. Let's go that way. Like, just note it. And it's another point you could put on a map, in the journal, on the wall. And then somebody else could go there later. You could go there later. But this scenario, you're going here. That is what you've told me. So I don't want things to be undiscoverable as they adventure. I just have to make sure it's not to completely derail the intention of the session. Easier to switch out PC players that way. Yeah. Do I, some nuances? Do I allow players to have more than one character? There's a debate on that, right? Ben will say no. Ben Robbins says no. Like, I didn't do that. I wanted the person to be fully invested in their one player character. And it does say something where, well, I could just, I could make up 4 and, well, if somebody dies, who cares? So if that can facilitate a type of play, right? If you aren't fully vested in your character, they can become more disposable if you can just have like a corral of them. Start simple, and then when you feel confident, that's when you add in the complications. Not a bad piece of advice. Tyler says, so is the story about the journey or the destination? I think that answers it. Yes. True. The journey, let's face it, journeys can be interesting. Just ask anybody that plays Forbidden Lands. Because in that game, you're not sure where what the destination is. So, but I do think that there are going to be situations when there is no destination. Like maybe there is like there's something going on over here. Maybe somebody's missing. You got to go find them. And the last time they were seen was over here. So in that case, it's not like we're going to the keep, right? They're going to be going and searching that way. That would be a journey type of a scenario. We're like, okay, go through this hex. You don't find them. Go in this hex, then all of a sudden, hey, you could have a travel roll with failure equals depletion / damage, or when you start the dungeon. Yeah, there's a few things, right? What are some of the things that I could do that would be detrimental for mishaps? What would be some things that would be positive to counteract those mishaps or what have you? So the mishaps, I think, gotta have to be interesting. I don't want to inflict so much so people are like super cautious, turtle up. Like resources can be an issue. Resources? Oh, I don't have this. Time to go back to town. So, an hour game session, people are like, screw this, and then they go back. So it can't be too bad, can't be too heavy-handed, but it's enough to kind of like, damn, that sucks, right? So it's a balance in handling those things that some people are going to have a different opinion too. Oh, dude, you were way too heavy on that one, man. Way too heavy. You should have like lightened it up a little bit. You guys are all out of every missile weapon you've ever had. Like, no missile weapons. Good luck. What? Yes, yeah. So I think it's going to be really trad. I'm looking at Shadowdark, like, do the races come into play? Maybe. Why would an elf live in this village somewhere? Maybe they got lost or sat there. Like, I'm for whatever reason, I'm making it like I'm leaning more and more just human. But, does that bore people, right? Does it kind of leave things like, well, then it's everybody's the same? I'm interested in your guys' feedback on that. So, yeah, man. How much magic am I going to put in the campaign? Like, what's the magic level? What are we talking here? I'm going to put up an artifact out there. What? Artifact? What? Oh, my God. I want to make it wondrous. If I get you guys a magic item and you guys don't know what it does, maybe you learn it and then find out certain things about it. I don't want it to be super low magic. I want things to be like, okay, this is kind of cool stuff. Like, I want to try to recapture some of the things that we find really fun in fantasy adventuring. And I think, that might even be, what kind of monsters do I use? Oh, it's a goblin. Oh, okay, great. What's up, Adrian? Morning from the West Coast. Just getting up bright and early. Gonna have to watch the stream back. Sounds like the conversation's super interesting. Talking about West Marches. So went through all the news first hour. Question of the day. Now breaking everybody like what the intentions of the West Marches game is. So how big is a party? Is it 5 or 6? Probably gonna limit it to maybe 6. 6 players, 1 session. You know, how personal, like there is something to say, like somebody having something in their background that they're trying to achieve, but then that kind of might screw things up too, but we'll see. No secrets, everything on the table. Yeah, I'm excited. So why now? I haven't played in a while. My gaming has trimmed back immensely. Not sure why. But I'm like, it's time to get something on the books and going a little more. I don't know if it's going to be consistent because it's going to be based on the players, right? The point of West Marches. But I think I'll put, I want a game like once a week, probably. Like put a date once a week, and I want to spread it around so other people have opportunities so they could play. If they can't make Thursdays, I don't want to make it every Thursday, obviously. So, yeah. Also, something I have also thought of is if other game masters want to partake in this, I don't know if I want to cut that off. I may be open to like, there's a couple that have videos that were like, if other game masters want to participate, they can have their own corner, and I'm totally down with that. So, if somebody wants to take a shot at it and run a few sessions, and there's some other nuances that go along with that could be tricky, but yeah, they can lean on some of the things that I put into place, right? Here's like Sean did all kind of the heavy lifting for me. I just got to show up and come up with a session and put my stuff in a corner of the world and roll. They already have the character generation rules. They already have like what they can do off time and how that's handled. And I'll just use all that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay. Keeping the power creep in check, always a challenge. Don't get lost in your own head. Don't overthink it. Shambot. I am, Adrian. You could make the game wondrous by telling the PCs that their discoveries would unlock races. Well, that's one way. All halfling game. I ran a whole server during COVID with multiple players and DMs, maybe about 30, 40-ish. We played in a shared D&D homebrew world. It was fun. Wow, that's great. I would love to know more. Ty says, suggestion for your YouTube video. I should watch to learn both West Marches and Shadowdark. So I think Ty, so I think you're asking like, hey, to get on a better understanding of this, what should I watch? I would say Shadowdark for sure. Like you can understand the system a little bit, but keep in mind, like if it's all about going in the Underdark and, always in the, dungeon all the time and it's dark and blah, blah, blah. That's true. It is part of the game and the feel and the tone, but don't get it too hard into your head because there is going to be some of the things that you'll encounter outside of the dungeon and tomb. But if you want to know what Shadowdark is, it's a very slimmed down 5th edition. Like it's still got the standard array, hit points, armor class, similar classes, similar races. Races are trimmed back exponentially as well. So if you appreciate a little bit of the newer design with the trying to incorporate and the tone of old school, that's kind of what it's trying to achieve. That's what Kelsey was going for. My interpretation, and it's out there. I think people have mentioned that as well. And classes, Wayne, there are desert nomad classes. There you go, right? There are going to be things that I lean on. Like I have some things in mind where you guys will be like, oh, I know what this is. I know. And it's callbacks, Easter eggs I mentioned. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Hobbs does that. New area opens up new replacement options. Oh, interesting. So, and then going back to Utah, West Marches, Matt Colville's got a good video on it. There's some other ones. People talk about how they prep it. Many will tell you what the fundamental pieces of a West Marches game is. No question. A very consistent message. A lot of them reference Ben Robbins's blog article that kind of where he elaborated about his campaign and the points of it. In short, West Marches is very driven by the players. The game master sits back, quote, sits back. The players are to get together their own group to go to somewhere. And that somewhere is typically known to everybody. So the fundamentals of the West Marches in a nutshell is it's exploration primarily. When you come across things in a group, like during a session, those things that you uncover and you learn about and see and experience is known to everybody that partakes in the campaign, whether they are on that adventure or not. Because it's coming out of a central place like a village. The village, there's nothing to do. Nothing there. Nothing interesting. Okay? It's a safe place. That's it. And you go out and explore, and you come back to the village. And that's one session done, finished. And when you do that, and you go out and explore, when you come back, it is assumed that you are sharing all of that information with everybody else in some way, shape, or form. Ben's example was there was a table in a tavern, and that table had the carvings of a map into it. So when somebody would venture out past the hills, the great hills, they would say wizards, abandoned tower, and they would come back and put that on the table, and everybody else would know that that's out there and where it is. And so the next party would get together and say, hey, I think we should go out and check out what that wizard tower is. Who's with me? Sounds good. Hey, Sean, we want to go check out that wizard's tower. And it looks like you have Saturday available. Can we do that Saturday? And I go, sure. And then that's it. And then it goes that way, and it drives the point. So it's not, it's not the GM. I'm going to run this module. We're going to play every Wednesday. Like, it's very kind of ebb and flow. The players are in control. So Sean, Shadowdark equals ICRPG. You will probably see maybe some similarities. I don't know. I don't know if it's a 1-to-1, obviously, Ty, but if you have an appreciation for ICRPG, I think you will find Shadowdark interesting. Is it going to hit the, tie in the feels? I don't know. Shambot says that this sounds like the West March style Mad Max game using the Atomic Highway D6 system I ran about 14 years ago. Wasteland, USA. Other GMs took different parts of the US to flesh out with the players. If you counter a thing, is running away an option? Yes. Not only is it an option, it's encouraged. Like there's no balance. That is not one of the things is that kind of touted is there is no balance. Now, some would say, if you're going to venture out from a village and you all start at first level, you may not want to put the dragon, 6 miles away, but there's nothing saying you can't. And if you do, kind of the mantra is to give the players enough information to make the decision to be like, I think that's like something really bad and I don't want to go there. And so they can leave knowing that's there, and it could be very detrimental to their lives. And then as they adventure somewhere else, maybe they level up and then they go and check out that lair that may be a little bit more reasonable to tackle. That's kind of the thing, right? Now somebody would say, oh, totally balanced, man. I got to bet, everybody's first level. Doesn't matter where the encounter is. It's, second level encounter. But yes, it's all about like smarter play, which means I have to get, give them enough clues to make those decisions so that when the proverbial shit hits the fan, they are fully aware of what they could be getting into. Jason Connerly's like Shanbot's idea. So there you go. Whoa, we're way over. I didn't even realize it went that long. So that's the deal. That's what we're doing. Yeah, man. So if you are interested, again, go to my Patreon. There's a link in my channel. I don't know if I do put it below in the doobly-doo, as Mr. Colville would say. You do not have to pay money, right, to be a patron. You can become a free patron. So I will put updates there. And the reason I'm putting on Patreon to begin with is because I have some patrons that, they pay good money. And I want to kind of run those things by them as this continues to grow. And if I need more players, well, then I can go, hey, everybody, and more people and, things of that nature can join. Talking about encounters, who has seen Damsel? I have not. It says, I see die. So, Wayne says, Runehammer definitely helped influence Kelsey, but it's her game. There you go. There you go. So, yeah. And I'm, I think folks that have paid me a few shekels, I think, I need to give them, a little more. Hey, maybe that's what I'll do. I don't want to make, that's microtransactions. Well, if you want to play an elf or a halfling, here's the Patreon level that you want to pay. No, I won't do that. But I do think that those that are throwing me a few bucks, what's the feedback? What are your thoughts? Ideas. Are you guys interested? I want to run you guys through first. One thing I've always been conscious of when it comes to I'm a creator and then there's a Patreon and I'll set that up and there's tiers. There's things that I wanted to facilitate a long time ago, even with Gaming and BS, where it's we could have a pay only Discord or Slack community, pay at this level, get access to our Slack. One thing I was really, really conscious of is not trying to alienate anybody. So my goal was everybody can get things. It just Patreon's got our episodes first when we were doing a podcast. So it wasn't alienating anybody else. No, you don't get it at all. So it's just more of a more priority for those that help. Yeah. I don't know. There was a few artists in Shadowdark, I think. She has them listed by pay. This person, here's all their artwork in the pages, I believe. He might have. Adrian says, you mentioned you were in a lull with gaming. I've been there for about a year. Any ideas how to squeeze more game time into a very busy schedule, work, kids, in real life activities, etc.? Yes. And you might not like the answer. You got to make the time. You have to make the time. It's as simple as that. I've struggled with friends of mine. They want to play. I tell them, look, man, I will do what I can when. But if every day is, I got this, and I got this, and you can't move anything, it's not going to matter what the game master has or whatever. Especially if you are the game master. If you are the game master and you're kind of I'm really trying to squeeze this in and I squeeze it in any way I can, it'll kill things because then everybody, let's face it, in a traditional role-playing game group, no game master, no play. Players down, you got 5, you're going to play with 4, not a problem. But game master's out, no game. So if you have a problem with scheduling, then you got to be a player. And if you join a group and you're going to be potentially inconsistent because you're never knowing your schedule, then it's got to be an expectation between you and the group. Like, here's the deal. I want to play as much as I can, but I don't know when that's going to be. Are you guys going to be okay with that? And they have to be honest. And you have to be honest with yourself. But what I've told other folks is there's bowling night. There's bowling night, scrapbooking night, whatever it is. And if it's only twice a month for 4 hours, you would be surprised at how many groups play exactly at that cadence. Like every other week, 3 to 4 hours, and they get their fill. And I think that's, but you also, I don't know your situation, and that's very personal, Adrian. It's a very personal thing. Like, I gotta, pick up kids, and I've got pets and animals and stuff that I have to feed. This West Marches may be the game that you're looking for. It sometimes will facilitate exactly folks that have this really chaotic schedule and they can only play when they can play. So the option for you is to look at, the dates that the GM's available and who's arranging, the mission or session, and saying, hey, I want to be in on that. Also, having said that, if I know that that's kind of your situation and the group's like, sorry, we got our 6, tough luck, Adrian, but I know I've played with those 6 and they've played in a session before, I have no problem going to them and saying, hey, can somebody drop, Adrian hasn't played in 2 months. He's got a really, they got a really tough schedule, right? You'd be surprised. No question in my mind, a member of the community would say, no problem, I'll sit this one out and then slide you in. So I see that happening. But if you're looking for a game, it's time. Here's what I will tell you. It is utterly eye-opening, like just shockingly eye-opening. If you take a calendar and you literally put in every single thing you do in a week in a calendar, you would be shocked. You might be shocked, maybe not. If everything's full and it's like a full every week, like sun up to sundown, sleep time, then I bravo to you. Like, bravo that you haven't lost your mind. But I bet you'd be surprised at what time frames are available and when. Like, I did that. I literally get up in the morning, take a shower, get up in the morning, shower, shave, breakfast, work starts this time, work here, lunch break, work this time, feed dogs, cats, eat, and I did that across an entire month. Usually you can do it a week because those things repeat. And then you look at everything that's open. And I'm like, I could fit in some stuff. Not everybody can. It's, again, very personal, but all right, see you here again. Everybody's bolting. I'll wrap up here in just a second. I'll have to join the Noldor Elf level. See ya, Jason. Thank you for being such a great community. Thanks for the stream, Sean. Thanks for making it inclusive for all. You have to make the time. True sage advice right there. Thanks, Shambot. Ty, I like having that every Saturday at 7 p.m. PST time. For 3 hours, I will be gaming with Sean as the GM. Thanks, Ty. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Sean. Have everybody morning, late. Michael, I'm about to wrap up, buddy. But thank you for stopping in. Anyways, thanks, Tyler. You bet. Welcome. We probably formally should do this. So, as I have Adrian's up there. So I want to thank everybody here that's helped me out over time and throwing shekels. Thank you for everybody that's joined and participates weekly. If you're kind of, even the ones that are kind of lying in the weeds, on the side and not participating in the chat. Thank you for being here. If you haven't given the thumbs up or the thumbs down, by all means, don't forget, hit, the subscribe button, hit the little dingy so you get, notified of me going live. But yeah, Andy Hall. Look at now these guys. I just gonna do a show for Andy Hall and a Kodakin. But yes, thank you everybody. Be a positive force in the tabletop baby. Be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. Spend time with those you appreciate. Make some time for yourself. Play some games. And we'll see you next week, 8 a.m. Central Time here on the channel. And then check me out on Patreon if you want to be part of the West Marches campaign. Hey-o! West Marches on Discord and Patreon. Yeah! It's going to be fun. See ya.